from 1975 till 2020, there was actually no bloodshed on the border at all. There's an equal reality, the rise of India. The rise may be different, the time frame may be different, the quantitatively or qualitatively they may not be identical. And the stronger, fastest growing large economy of the world today. So those are realities that have to be factored in anybody's calculation, not just in China's. For us, Russia is a source of stability. It is not automatic that if a country is perceived a certain way in the West, that logic would extend to the East. The perception in the East could be very different. When it comes to the purchase of oil, just imagine for the moment, had we not bought oil from Russia, I think the global oil prices would have gone higher, because we would have gone into the same market, to the same suppliers that Europe would have done. And frankly, as we discovered, Europe would have outpriced us. We saw that in the LNG markets, where actually many supplies which were traditionally coming into Asia got diverted to Europe. And in fact, at least India was a big enough country to command some respect in the markets, but there were much smaller countries who wouldn't even get responses to their tender inquiries because the LNG suppliers were no longer interested in dealing with them. They had bigger fish to fry. So we've actually softened the oil markets and the gas markets through our purchase policies. We have, as a consequence, actually managed global inflation. So frankly, people should be saying
thank you. You'll be doing service.
Yes, absolutely. I'm waiting for the thank you. I would like to believe that a lot of this is due to the brilliance of diplomats on both sides. But surely, if a relationship is so even, there must be a fundamental structural ballast to it which would keep it so even. So my suggestion, my inference from that is actually both sides recognize the importance of the relationship in keeping a kind of a continental balance, if you would, in that part of the world. Now, I also make this point that when we, here I speak not just for India, when countries east of Russia view Russia, for us Russia is a source of stability. Russia is not a revisionist power east of Russia.
It is west, though.
That might be your experience, or
I don't think I'm just wearing a Western hat on that.
No, but the contrast I would mark. But it is not automatic that if a country is perceived a certain way in the West, that logic would extend to the East. The perception in the East could be very different. In fact, it is very different. So I think when we approach Russia, because I'll come to the current situation, when we approach Russia, I think those 70 odd years of history and of working together and of what we call the steadiness is very much a factor in our minds.
Is there any evidence that you've seen in the government that points to Indian government indirect or direct involvement with the killing of that Sikh?
In this case?
Yes.
No.
None. Do you believe he's a terrorist?
He has a track record which is there in the social media, and that track record is a pretty graphic one. So I would leave everybody to make their judgment when about a person whose pictures are there with weapons, who has taken positions. I mean, the positions are not secret; they are very public positions.
Yeah.
But my response, to what Prime Minister Trudeau said, is that we have told the Canadians, look, I mean, first of all, because you got to understand the context. The context is that in Canada, we feel that the Canadian politics has given space to violent and extreme political opinions which advocate separatism from India, including through violent means. And these people have been accommodated in Canadian politics. They are given the freedom to articulate their views. And not just that, it had come to a situation where the diplomats of my country, including the High Commissioner, we've had attacks on the High Commission, smoke bombs thrown at the High Commission. My Consul General and other diplomats were intimidated in public, on record, with no action taken by those who did this. This is a country where there is a previous history. For those who would be familiar with Lockerbie, we had a much bigger incident when an Air India plane, there were bombs put, in fact, on two planes. One fortunately landed before when the bomb went off, but the other one, there were 327 people who died when the plane crashed off Ireland. So given all this, I think it was important that, a country like Canada, I mean, we are a democracy, you are a democracy, they are a democracy. But freedom of speech and freedom of expression also comes with a certain responsibility, and the misuse of those freedoms and the toleration of that misuse for political purposes would be, to our mind, very wrong. Now, in the case of Mr. Trudeau, I have discussed it also with my own counterpart. I still do, and we have told them, saying, look, if you have a reason to make such an allegation, please share the evidence with us. We are not ruling out an investigation and looking at anything which they may have to offer. They haven't done so. In the 1990s, both countries made an effort to discuss the border, but stabilize the border while it was under discussion. And the arrangements we arrived at in the early 90s, in 93 and 96 specifically, lasted really till 2020. Then we saw in 2020, for whatever reason, the Chinese did not continue to adhere to the agreement, and we had a big movement of troops to the line of actual control, and eventually there was a clash. Quite a few soldiers died. And what that has done is it has really vitiated the relationship. There is a certain reality, which is the rise of China. There's an equal reality, the rise of India. The rise may be different, the time frame may be different, the quantitatively or qualitatively they may not be identical. But the fact is, as two countries who are really proximate neighbors, who are the two oldest civilizations of the world, who have survived as nation states, who are in a way exceptional nation states because they are civilizational ones. I think there are realities that need to be recognized, and perhaps each one of us has some tradition of how we look at the world, but traditions at the end of the day also have to take into account contemporary realities. I mean, I am today the fifth largest economy. I am the largest in terms of population. The impact that India would make on the stronger, fastest growing large economy of the world today. So those are realities that have to be factored in anybody's calculation, not just in China's. We have substantial technology and economic and commercial relations with Taiwan. And certainly, Taiwan has a reputation when it comes to electronics and, of course, more recently with semiconductors. So there has been an upswing in the levels of cooperation. As to a hypothetical scenario that you raised, I don't do hypotheticals.